Call the School Board of St. Lucie County Special Tentative Budget Meeting to order. Welcome to everyone. We're glad to have you with us tonight. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And our treasure hunter pledge. As it is in law and the treasure hunter, I committed search for all the talents, skills, and intelligence that exist in all children in need. I believe all children are capable of success, no exceptions. Thank you. In the interest of time, as we have a time certain deadline for our public hearing with our tentative millages and budget for 2020-2021, I'm going to revert to that first, and then we'll go back to our other two public hearings. So at this time, the public hearing for the tentative millages and budget 2020-2021 is now open.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Superintendent Gent. This will be a brief overview of the tentative budget. We will cover the required elements of discussion, and at the end of the presentation, we'll vote to approve millage rates. After millage rates are approved, we will vote to approve the budget and resolutions, all three resolutions at one time. This slide shows the taxable value, millage, and tax collection revenue estimates at 100% and 96%. We budget at 96%. Last year, we collected 96.63. As a reminder, the board must levy the 3.701 and the 1.0000. The 0.748 and 1.5 are maximums. The only action the board could take would be to reduce those, and we do not recommend reducing. This slide shows a history of the millage rates from 2007 to 2008. Over this time frame, our highest millage rate was 8.1770 in 1011. This slide shows the break between the capital, operating, and voted millages and where the legislature demanded a shift. Capital outlay shifted from 2 mills in 7-8 to 1.5 in 9-10. You can see in 2019-20 and 2020-21, we have 1 mill as voted. This slide shows the impact on the average homeowner. We get this information from the property appraiser each year. The taxable value for an average homeowner in the county increased by approximately 1.88%. There's a reduction in the non-voted millage by 2.83%. So taxes for an average homeowner should be looking at a $6.83 decrease. This slide shows the taxable value history. The entire county's gross taxable value makes up the taxes that you will see on the next slide. This slide shows the gross tax collection history. For comparison purposes, I excluded the 1 mill that's voted, and we'll show the effect of that on the next slide. So on this slide, you can see the impact for the 1 mill that we voted, resulting in $25 million additional revenue. The 1 mill will remain in effect for 4 years as by law. The additional revenue generated from this voted mill will be used to recruit, retain qualified teachers, improve school security, improve mental health services, and fund other essential operations that preserve important school programs. It's interesting to note that on this slide here, the increase in taxable value is not increasing at the same rate that our collections are increasing. The taxable value increases 5.73%, but the collections only increased 2.5% between 1920 and 2020-21. That's because the legislature mandates what the required local effort is, and they've capped our other millage rates. This slide here shows overall collections from 2007-8 to current collections. It will show that we have collected about $33 million less in tax collections and $471 million cumulative compared to 2007-2008. This slide here incorporates the additional 1 mill, so the annual loss is reduced at the 2021 level, and the difference is less. So it's about a difference of $8 million and then $422 million cumulatively. The rollback rate discussion is something we are required to talk about, and here's a table that helps explain it. In 1920, the taxable value was $25 billion. The millage rate was 7.1220. That generated $178 million. The rollback rate is a calculated rate that will generate the same revenue using this year's net taxable value. The rollback rate is 6.8964, so 6.8964 times the current taxable value generates $178 million. Since we have a proposed rate of 6.9490, which exceeds the 6.8964, we have to compare those two and make a public statement that the proposed rate is 0.76% greater than the rollback rate. Here's a summary of the budget. This includes beginning reserves, revenues, appropriations, and ending reserves, grand total of $642,463,074, which is amended throughout the year by official board action. Does anyone want to address the board? This is the tentative board hearing. The millage rates could change before the final hearing on September 8th. This is highly unlikely, but this is not the final hearing. This is the tentative hearing.
Let me ask one more time if there are any that wish to address or have questions about this presentation. Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Superintendent, we'll receive your recommendation individually on each of the millage efforts.
I recommend the board approve the tentative required local effort millage of 3.7010 mils as specified in the resolution 2020-21 trim tentative A.
Board members, we have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Recommend the board approve the tentative district school tax discretionary operating millage of 0.7480 mils as specified in resolution 2020-21 trim tentative A.
Board members, we have the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Recommend the board approve the tentative district discretionary local capital improvement millage of 1.5000 mils as specified in resolution 2020-21 trim tentative A.
Board members, we have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Recommend the board approve the tentative district additional voted millage of 1 mil as specified in the resolution 2020-21 tentative A.
Board members, we have the recommendation. Do I hear a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I recommend the board adopt the 2021 tentative budget in the amount of $642,463,074.
Or
So moved.
$74.
I'm sorry, $74.
Right, just wanted to be sure it's read in correctly. Okay.
Thought I was home.
Board members, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I recommend the board adopt resolution 2020-21 trim tentative B, resolution 2020-21 trim tentative C, and resolution 2020-21 trim tentative D.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board members, do I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I recommend the board approve the 4 action items, number 4.01 through number 4.04, as submitted.
Board members, we have the action items before us and submitted. Do I hear a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We will now go back to the public hearing portion. Our public hearing for the budget is closed. And I open the public hearing for the proposed adoption of amendments to Code of Student Conduct for 2020-2021. Mr. Superintendent, could we have your recommendation?
Recommend the board adopt the proposed amendments to the Code of Student Conduct as submitted.
Are there any in the audience that wish to speak to this? Okay, hearing or seeing none, we have the recommendation of the superintendent. Board members, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We have one other public hearing to address, and that is the proposed emergency rule adoption regarding face coverings during COVID-19 pandemic emergency. Mr. Superintendent, can I have your recommendation?
Recommend the board approve the emergency rule adoption of the face covering during COVID-19 pandemic emergency policy as submitted, which will expire upon the earlier of October 26, 2020, or on the date that the board adopts the same pursuant to rulemaking procedures.
Any in the audience that wish to speak to this? Hearing and seeing none, we have the recommendation. Do I have a motion, board members?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. At this time, Mr. Superintendent, I do believe, well, our public hearings are closed, but I believe you have a couple things you'd like to share.
Yeah, just real quick, as I mentioned, Ms. Martin, if you'll come up, we'll just show you, we've made a, if you look on the last page of the handout, and you'll see right above the tentative budget, you'll see 2021 reopening, and you'll see a group of, it'll say face coverings, COVID-19. These are like PSAs that that will be posted probably either tonight or tomorrow for our community and for our staff members. And I just wanted to give you a taste of one of them. Ms. Martin, you got one picked out?
You want to go with the cleaning part of safety?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just
Okay.
do that one, and then this will just be example, and you'll be able to go on, and anyone in the community would be able to go on and see what we're doing in our schools for the reopening.
St. Lucie Public Schools is excited to welcome our students and staff back for the 2020-2021 school year. Our #1 goal is to provide the safest teaching and learning environment possible for our students and our employees. This video series will illustrate some of the changes that our families and employees will see as we reopen schools.
COVID-19 is primarily an airborne pathogen. We are focusing on ensuring students minimize their risks by hand washing, having good hygiene, and healthy habits. During the upcoming school year, classrooms and shared areas will be cleaned first and then disinfected with hospital-grade disinfectant.
We're going to be following an enhanced protocol for cleaning and disinfecting all touch points throughout the day and at night, of course, so it's all cleaned and disinfected for the morning. For deep cleaning, we're going to be using a disinfectant. We call it the EMIS machine. It is approved by the CDC and EPA. It has formulas that are approved for disinfection.
These machines are a combination of an electrostatic sprayer with Clorox disinfectant and sanitizing solutions which provide chemical coverage quickly and easily. The system uses an electrode to introduce an attractive charge to the chemical mixture and then atomizes the solution before using an air compressor to generate the liquid flow. It can cover up to 18,000 square feet per hour, even in hard-to-reach places, including the sides, underside, and backside of surfaces. The Clorox 360 solution is also an EPA-approved solution per CDC guidelines.
We will be disinfecting throughout the day. High touch points being pushes, door pulls, handrails, computer keyboards, light switches, anything that is a high touch point throughout the school. We will also be providing disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizer for every classroom.
Have a happy and healthy new school year.
So that's just an example of one of the vignettes that we would have, and you see them all listed there. And again, this will be posted for our teachers, for our staff members, administrators, community members to see There's transportation, there's everything there, pretty much we've covered in that. Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Chair.
Superintendent, I appreciate that. I'm wondering, is it possible to share this with some of our media sources, so for, radio?
Yes,
TSC?
we've talked about that this morning to make it available to them so that what they do, yes, the answer is yes.
Good, because it's valuable information, and when they could see the visual of what we're really doing for all the different areas, I think that makes a huge difference. So thank you for your team and putting all of that together. That's much appreciated. Okay, there is no other business to come before us this evening, so we are adjourned.